Alrighty, so today we're taking a look at camera battery chargers. Now if you ever use the ones that come with your camera, those are pretty good, but the problem with that is that you have to plug them into a wall. Nowadays with everything using USB-C and power delivery, I think that chargers need to also be upgraded and find one that uses USB-C. Another thing is that those chargers usually only charge one battery at a time. We have 11 chargers here and they all charge multiple batteries at once. So I'm going to talk about each charger individually and talk about some of their cool features, but at the end of the video, I'll give a breakdown of every single charger here, and I'll also tell you which one of these chargers is my favorite, just so it's easier to see which charger you like the most and fits what you need. So the first charger we're starting off with is the Jupio charger. This is a collaboration charger with Peter Lindgren, who's another YouTuber. As you can see, this charger will fit 3 batteries. All you have to do is slide them in, and then to take them out, you just push here at the bottom and it'll come right back out. I tested the charging speed of all of these chargers, and this specific charger is not the fastest. It took me about 165 minutes to charge all 3 batteries 100%, so that's about 55 minutes per battery. Now all of these batteries I plugged into a V-mount when charging, and this battery is able to tell me how much wattage I'm drawing from each of the chargers. So for this Jupio charger, we're getting about 19 watts of power charging into the batteries, which is why it is a little bit slower because it is on the lower end compared to some of these other chargers I'm going to show you in a second. But if you're just looking for a triple charger, this is pretty nice. They also have some other functionalities. So besides just plugging into the in port over here, on the other side you also have an out port. So this, you can connect a cable to it and you can charge other things like your phone or other devices if you want to. And it basically just draws the power from the batteries themselves. Now on the top here, you have a few slots to store some extra memory cards. So you have micro SD cards right here. You have CF Express Type A right here, and then you have normal SD cards right here. Now this is for Sony, and since Sony uses CF Express Type A, that's the slot that's up here. But if you do get the Canon version, I believe they do sell it with CF Express Type Bs. If you ever need to check the charge of your batteries, all you have to do is press the button right here. You'll be able to see how much charge is left. Now there are 4 LED indicators, so that's just going to go up in increments of 25%. An important thing to note is that even when you just put the batteries in and you press the button, it will be able to tell what charge the batteries are for each of them. Now one thing I'm going to do with all these chargers is the shake test. If I do a shake test with one of them, the battery comes right out. So it is secure, it feels pretty tight, but there is a chance that if it's wiggling around your bag, it could come loose. So that is something to keep in mind. Obviously, one of the nice factors of having a case like this is that once you're done charging, you can literally take this whole thing and just put it in your bag. So you don't have to take out the batteries and then throw them into your bag. You can just take this whole thing and bring it as a case. Now this is a full plastic build, but it does feel pretty solidly built. This is also the most expensive one on the list compared to all these other chargers. So this, at the time of recording, comes in at $130, and all these prices are USD. Now none of these chargers are sponsored, but if you do want to take a look, I'll have everything linked down in the description below for you if you want to check them out. Now let's move on to our second charger, which is this Tilta charger. As you can see here, this Tilta charger can charge 4 batteries at once, and testing it is drawing about 37 watts to be able to charge all 4 batteries. The charging speed of this is pretty good. I was able to charge 4 batteries in 100 minutes, so that's about 25 minutes per battery. Now this charger does not have an out port, so you are not able to charge other devices like your phone with it. Now this charger is fast, like I mentioned, and it can charge 4 batteries at once, but I do have a few gripes with it. So the first thing is this lid right here. So to put it on, you just slap on the lid. But to take them off, you actually have this little tab right here. Now this is good because it locks the lid in place, but that also means it makes it really hard to take off with one hand because you have that lock on both sides. So you have to kind of palm the whole case, press both sides at the same time, and then you have to use your other hand to take off the lid. So it's very hard to be able to do it with one hand, and that's something I wasn't a huge fan of if I'm in a rush and the charger is in my bag and I need to use both hands just to take off the lid. Another thing I'm not a fan of is how it tells you your charge. So there are no buttons on it, so the only way you're able to tell the charge of the battery is if you put a battery in. So right now you can see that's off, but if I push this battery in, then all of them will light up and you'll be able to see your battery levels. Now another reason why that's a little bit annoying is because of this. If you just have this in your bag and you want to take out a battery, you can't tell which battery is full. So to check the battery level, you have to actually take off the case, take out a battery, put it back in, wait for the LEDs to light up, and then you'll be able to tell which one has charge and which one doesn't, and it is a little bit slower. As you can see here, you also have a few lights, and that's probably my biggest downside with this charger. Now you saw that there are 3 lights, yellow, green, and red. Now red means the battery level is from 0% to 30%, yellow means that it's from 30% to 90%, and green means that it's from 90% to 100%. And as you can tell, the yellow, the 30% to 90% range is huge. 30%, 90% is literally the difference between a full battery and a not full battery. So when it's in that yellow range, it's very hard to tell how much charge these batteries actually have left in there. And I end up having to take out the battery, put it in my camera just to check out how much charge is in it. So I think that if you're trying to bring this on the go, maybe you're shooting an event and you want to swap out batteries during the event, I don't think this is the right charger for that, just because it's so bad at being able to tell you how much charge is in these batteries. But I think that because it is so fast, if you just want to leave it at home, plug it in to charge 4 batteries at once, maybe take the whole thing and throw it into your bag just to make sure that you do have full batteries, but you're not too worried about recharging batteries during an event, then this might be the charger for you. However, this charger is super cheap. To charge 4 batteries, you're only paying $30 for one of these. So again, if you are looking for a third-party charger that can charge 4 batteries at once and you want to go as cheap as possible, this is definitely one to check out. Now this charger is a plastic build. It does feel a little bit cheap to me, but for $30 I can't really complain. And obviously because this one has a locking lid, it passes the shake test. Now next we have this charger, which is a Llano charger. Now this is called the CM4, and it's 4 because you can charge 4 batteries at once. Now this charger is pretty fast. It was able to charge 4 batteries in 90 minutes, so that's about 22.5 minutes per battery. So this charger was drawing about 45 watts of power to be able to charge 4 batteries at once, which is why it's so quick. And it also has an out port to be able to charge other devices like your phone, and it was charging at about 12 watts. Now this kind of fixes the downsides that I just talked about with the Tilta charger. So when you have your batteries in here, there's this little fingerprint icon, and if you just press it, it's pretty much like a touch screen, and you can instantly see how much charge is left on your batteries. So that means that even with the lid on, you don't have to actually take out the batteries and put them back in just to check out how much charge is in there. You can leave the lid on and press that button and be able to check all the charges. Now with the cover problem with the Tilta one, this one also has a cover, but it's magnetic. So it stays tight, it doesn't fall out, but it makes it very easy to be able to just pull off and quickly check on your batteries and not have to worry about pressing anything else. You do also have little LED indicators, so I'm just gonna plug in this charger right here. If I plug it in, you can see all of the battery percentages light up, and with this icon right here, you can tell that it's charging. But if I want to charge another device, I'll just switch the output right here. You can see that the icon instantly switches to the bottom, and that's how you can tell that's outputting power. And on the side here, these are those 2 ports I was talking about. You have an in port over here and then out port over here. Now because it has a magnetic lid, even when you turn upside down, you shake it, it doesn't fall. So it's very nice to see that it stays fairly secure, but you can easily just pull it off and pop it off right away. Now this one comes in at $70. It is an aluminum build, which is probably why you get a little bit higher price and faster charging speeds, and some of these other features just like the touchscreen I really like, especially the battery percentage. I like being able to see the exact percentages of the battery. Keep in mind that these will differ a bit because all of these battery percentages are just reading the voltage of the battery. So usually the best way to tell how much charge is in there is to put a battery in there, let it sit for a little bit just for the charger to be able to read the voltage and for it to stabilize a little, and then you'll be able to get more accurate readings. Next we have a pretty cool charger. This is the TopRig charger by Accsoon. So as you can tell, it's a 4 battery charger, and you can see here it tells you all the battery percentages here. Now this charger is really fast. It took about 95 minutes to charge 4 batteries, which is about 24 minutes per battery. When you plug it in, you're able to see that it accepts 100 watts of power. Because the battery percentages, you're able to see how much amperage and wattage each battery is taking up. You also have this mode button here, so you can actually switch it. You can see smart mode to safe mode. And smart mode means that it's pretty much just charging them as fast as it can. And then safe mode is just charging them a lot slower and just kind of keeping the battery health healthy, because usually batteries, the faster you charge them, the more you're going to drain the battery life. So just having them be able to have an option of charging slower if you're maybe just leaving them overnight is really nice, but you have the option to switch to a faster charger mode if you need them to top up really quickly. Now surprisingly, this does pass the shake test, but obviously this is not really meant to be thrown in your bag. This is probably just more for a charging station if you want to leave it in your house. I do like the color display though, with a lot of information like your amperage and wattage, so that's pretty cool. And this only comes in at $42 to be able to quickly charge all 4 of your batteries. The build quality is pretty solid and it feels like some kind of aluminum. Next we have another unique charger by Llano, and if I press this button right here on the front, you can see it says 99%. But if we take a look inside this case here, there's no batteries in there. And that's because this whole thing is pretty much a portable power bank. So this has 12,400 milliamps of battery. It has 2 in and out ports here on the side, which means I can actually use this to charge things like my phone, even with no batteries in there. So unlike some of these other chargers here where it drains your own batteries just to charge another device, this one has its own charge built in. And because it has its own charge built in, it means that if I put in some batteries in here, you can see this charging indicator here, and you can see that there's nothing plugged in. Which means if I ever need to charge batteries, I can literally just put batteries in here and this will charge the batteries without anything attached, and it's just drawing from the power inside of it. Now this is not the fastest charger. It took me about 150 minutes, so about 75 minutes per battery to be able to charge them to full. And because this charging case has such a big capacity, it took about 4 hours to charge this whole thing. But it does mean that if you are someone who likes to bring power banks and other devices to charge your phone and stuff, using this will be able to charge those devices and your camera batteries and not have to worry about bringing any other sort of V-mount or other portable battery. The in and out ports charge at 20 watts, so that's for both in and out. Now to open this case here, you just push on this latch, and when you put it back in, there's a satisfying click. So this obviously passes the shake test because the lid is locked and you have to press on that lever to be able to release it. Overall, pretty cool charger, but it is pretty big. But again, if you are someone who normally likes to bring V-mounts or other portable battery banks to be able to charge other devices, this is kind of just like an all-in-one unit. Now the next two, I'm just going to keep in the same category because they're very similar. So this is the Llano CM2 and CM3. It does share the same naming scheme as the CM4, and CM2, CM3 obviously means that one charges 2 batteries, one charges 3 batteries. But it doesn't same all the features of the higher end CM4. So as you can see here, you do have battery percentages still, but they go up in increments of 25%, so there are 4 dots. And you actually don't get a reading of any battery percentages even when you put the battery in, unless it's plugged in. So as soon as I plugged it in, then you will see that LED indicator and you'll be able to tell how much battery is in here. So that's a big downside. And the same thing goes for the CM2. It shares the same system where it goes up by 25% increments, and you won't be able to check the charge of the batteries until you plug them in. Now these chargers were not the fastest. The CM2 charges at 20 watts and the CM3 charges at 30 watts. So you're getting about 2 hours and 3 hours with these, so about an hour per battery. And there's also no out charging unlike the CM4, so you're not able to charge other devices. And if you're just looking for some cheaper chargers to carry in your bag, these could be it. These are coming in at $38 for the CM2 and about $50 for the CM3. They also don't have any sort of a lid or cover on top, so there is a chance that if you shake it hard enough, the batteries could come out just like that. But for most things, I think you're not going to have the batteries fall out. And overall, these are pretty simple chargers. Now if you are looking for a dual charger though, there are other options to take a look at. So this is a Smallrig charger. It's actually really tiny. It's only slightly bigger. And when you actually put these batteries in, you see how slim this case is? It pretty much takes up no extra real estate at all. It's super thin. It's pretty much the same size as 2 batteries just stacked together. I checked the charge, you have a button on the front. This goes up in 20% increments, so it is a little bit more accurate, and you don't have to have it plugged in to be able to read the battery percentage. Now these batteries took about 70 minutes to charge, so about 35 minutes per battery. It was accepting 20 watts of power in the input, and it does not have an out port. It does pass the shake test. It is a plastic build, but it's $30, and for this slim profile, I actually think it's a pretty unique charger. Now another charger with a similar form factor is this K&F Concept one. So this is pretty similar. You can fit 2 batteries in here. On the sides, you have 2 slots, one here and one on the other side, to fit a normal SD card in there, so you can hold 2 SD cards. If you ever need to check the charge, you can just press on the K&F Concept logo, and then this will light up and tell you your battery percentage. Now you can see here, it does look quite a bit bigger than the Smallrig one, but the cool thing about this is that once you plug it in, you can slide on this lock here and actually take off the top half. So this is pretty cool because you can leave this bottom one plugged in at home, and then you can just take this and put this in your bag. And then once you come home, all you have to do is slap this back onto the base and it'll start charging right away. So that's a pretty cool design. This took 68 minutes to charge both of these batteries, so about 34 minutes per battery, and is inputting about 16 watts of power, and it does not have an out port. Plastic build again, and it comes in at $35. And it does pass the shake test as well. Finally, we're down to our last 2 chargers. So this is the Neewer NW-Z4. So right now this case is locked. You press the open button and then you can open the case. Now inside here, you can put a normal SD card, and I believe this is CF Express Type B card slots. Now this charger has a pretty unique feature about it. If you take a look at the shape of this is not your normal standard Sony NPF-Z100 battery shape. And that's because you can actually charge Sony batteries and Canon batteries with this one charger. So you can see here I have a Sony battery, this is a third-party one by Llano, and here I have a Canon battery. And if I put them in the case, Sony battery goes there, Canon battery goes here, and if I press this button here, you can see that it's lighting up and telling me the battery percentage of both. So this is a dual charger, and if you're someone who owns both Canon and Sony batteries, this is a cool one to have because then you don't have to get separate chargers to be able to charge a different brand of batteries. Now I was testing these with the Sony batteries. To charge all 4 batteries, it took about 2 hours and 4 minutes, so that's about 31 minutes per battery. The in-speed charging was about 42 watts. It also has an out port. So for the USB-C here, it was outputting at 14 watts, but it also has an output for USB-A. And as you can tell here, nothing attached, you can still press the button in the middle, and that will tell you your battery level indicated by the 4 batteries, so about 25% per indicator. Obviously with the lid that doesn't open until you press the open button, it will pass the shake test. And this comes in at about $50. And finally, our last charger on this list is the Neewer NW-Z4. So as you can tell, this is a 4 battery charger, but the thing is when you put the battery in, it does not tell you your battery level, so it only tells you the battery level when you have it plugged in. As soon as you're plugged in, then it will light up. Now this charger was pretty fast. It was about 120 minutes for all 4 batteries, so about 30 minutes per battery. It was inputting about 35 watts of power, and it does not have an output. Now this does not seem to pass the shake test. It did come loose pretty fast, so that's something to keep in mind. But obviously with the shape of this is not really something that you're going to throw into your bag. This is again more meant for a power station at home. Classic build again, and it comes in at about $36. So that's all the chargers here that I have to show you today. Again, here's a summary of all the chargers, and you're able to pick and choose which one you like the most. Also highlight some of the winning features for some of the chargers, so you're able to see which charger stands out and beats other ones at certain things. Now for my charger, I think I'm going to be sticking with the Llano CM4. Now this is because it can charge 4 batteries at once, and as you can tell, I have so many batteries, so I do like having a 4 battery charger. I do like the magnetic lid that stays shut, and I like having an actual battery percentage. I really don't like looking at LED indicators and trying to guess how much batteries in there. I prefer a charger that gives me the exact percentage. This has an input and an output. I don't really use the output too much. I rarely ever need to use this to charge other things like my phone, but I guess it is nice to have in case I really need it in case of emergencies. I really like the touchscreen. It charges pretty fast and it's not too expensive for a 4 battery charger. Obviously there's a bunch of other camera battery chargers that I could test, but I think these are probably the most popular ones. But I want to know, have you used any of these, or is there another one that you prefer? Let me know down in the comments below. If you have any questions, always feel free to reach out or message me on Instagram. If you like this video, remember to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to see more photo video content, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.